Are we ready?
It's live.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the January 20th, 2021 regular board meeting of the San Mateo County Harbor District. Melanie, can you do roll call, please?
Lizzie, it looks like Commissioner Zemke. Oh, yes. Okay. You just let him in. Commissioner Ryring,
Here.
Commissioner Chang Crawley,
Present.
Commissioner Matoush,
Here.
Commissioner Lorenas. I believe you're muted, Commissioner. Commissioner Lorenas.
Yes. Here.
Oh, I could hear. I could hear you then. Commissioner Zemke.
Here.
Great, everybody's here. We're going to open up our meeting to public comment or questions. The public may directly address the Board of Harbor Commissioners for a limit of 2 minutes. Do we have anybody? And I don't think we have anybody here today. I don't
There are
see
no
anybody.
attendees
You?
in the waiting room. Yeah, there are no hands raised.
All right. So we will move to, let's see, we'll move on to, we have no committee updates. We'll move to consent calendar.
I'm sorry, Nancy, there is one hand raised. Bob and Sherry Ingalls.
Who is that?
Bob and Sherry Ingalls has their
Okay.
hand raised for public comment.
Okay, thank you. Bob and Sherry Ingalls, please go ahead.
You've been unmuted for comment.
Hey, all right, are we here now?
Yes,
Yes, we hear you.
Yeah, sorry, for some reason, this is doing something weird to us, and I didn't want to actually make a comment. Just want to let you know we are here, and we'll be here if there's any questions or comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we will move on to the consent calendar. All the items on consent are approved by a single motion unless a commissioner requests to withdraw any of the items. Is there do any commissioners have an interest in withdrawing an item?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Ed.
Oh, I would just like to pull items 1, 4, 7, and 8.
Okay,
Okay, I would like to make a comment, I guess, just so that the record reflects that the consent items include the minutes for December meetings, and I was not a commissioner at that time, so I guess you can consider my abstention in consenting to that.
yeah, the way that usually works, Bill, is that when we, yeah, that's right, that's fine.
So, okay, great.
All right, so 1, 4, 7, and 8, anything else?
Motion to approve 2, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10.
Do I have a
second that.
second?
I'll
Thank
second.
you. Great, Melanie, roll call.
Commissioner Chang Crawley,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenas,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring.
Aye. Item number 1, bills and claims. You have a question about that? Commissioner Lorenas?
I do. I'd just like to make a comment, point out a few things. Since we're starting off with a new year, and I'd also just take a quick moment to, since I wasn't at our last meeting, to congratulate you, Bill. Welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you. I pulled this particular item just to highlight that the total fees that we paid to CPM, our lawyers, Kachet's firm, $424,100,000. Note that CPM's services were provided to the district at a significant discount. And I'd like to remind you that these fees are related to a suit filed against us by our tenants. This happened because the decisions were made by the district over a period of years that favored one group over the other, specifically the board against the recommendation by then GM made a decision to allow one tenant to place a hoist on another's leased property. That led us to where we are today. Over $400,000 spent on legal fees, money which could have been directed towards revitalizing Johnson Pier. It's a new year with a new board member. Again, congratulations to you. Let's learn from these past mistakes and let's just not do this again. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the bills and claims.
Second.
Roll call, Melanie?
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chan-Crowley.
Aye.
Item number 4, you polled, Commissioner Lorenz?
Yes, just quickly for the same reason Bill did. I wasn't at that meeting, so I'd have to abstain.
Great. Do I have a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second.
Melanie?
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chan-Crowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush.
Aye.
I think the way that's supposed to work, since Commissioner Lorenz and Zemke were not at the meeting, they were supposed to abstain instead
Yeah.
of.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Off guard.
whatever.
Shall I do it again?
Yes. let's
Yeah,
run by
I
that
would,
again.
because the abstentions need to be noted correctly, I think.
That's right.
Okay. Commissioner Lorenz,
Abstain.
Commissioner Zemke,
Abstain.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chan-Crowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush.
Aye.
We'll move to item 7 that's been polled. Commissioner Lorenz?
President Ryring,
Yeah.
if I may, Commissioner Zemke, you were at the January meeting, and that's what this is approving, is the January 5th meeting.
Oh, was it? Oh.
Yes, not the
That was
December's.
the swearing in meeting.
You
Oh, okay.
abstained from
Oh, that's
items
right.
2 and 3. Item 4 is the January 5th meeting. Only Commissioner Lorenz was absent.
Right.
3's the
See.
charm, Melanie.
Well, or Bill can just change his vote to
I
an
can just
aye if
change
he
my
wants.
vote.
Yeah.
All right.
Should then,
Can I just change my vote from abstention to aye?
okay, is that okay, Commissioner Ryring?
Tricia, if that's all right.
That,
Yep.
That's fine. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Item number 7.
Yes. And Jim and John, if you guys want to weigh in on this, please feel free to interrupt me. This is just for the record, it's the coastal development permit and use permit for seasonal staging of the commercial crab and salmon fishing gear project update. So this item is related to the district filing a coastal development permit. I pulled the item to highlight the significance of the coastal development permit. And first, I'd like to thank San Mateo County Planning, even though they're not here, at least for the record, for bringing this legacy problem to our attention. For those who didn't know, we've been doing this for about 25 years without a coastal development permit. The coastal development permit application serves to give the public an opportunity to provide input and ensures compliance with the Coastal Act. So I would have rather seen this in the discussion agenda so that the public could have weighed in on this. It's important to give the folks, especially the folks that live on the coast, an opportunity to have more than just one say in this. The coastal application also ensures that the district will comply with the Coastal Act. It also provides a mechanism to formalize conditions of use, which I think is really important because it sets down on the record how folks are going to use our property. It makes a formal declaration of what the rules are. And I'm happy to say that our staff working with Brad Damitz have done a great job with this application. I appreciate the work you guys did. It looks really good. I have a question. So once this I guess, has this application been sent in already? I can't remember whether it is or it isn't.
Yes, it's already been, our application's already been sent in and it's already been reviewed and approved. So we're
Okay.
good to go now.
Okay. All right. I think that's probably all I need to say about it. And just to mention to the members of the public that John and or Jim, whoever wrote the item, did a good job of explaining how all this works, and it's worth a read if you're at all interested in this. Okay. So I move to approve.
Well, I think this is informational only, right? It's just an update, so there's no
Okay.
board action that's required, but thanks for.
Right, because I already did it.
All right, and then finally, item number 8.
Okay, that's me again. So item number 8 relates to a grant application from the Gulf of the Farallones National Marine Sanctuary, and the district has written, or I guess Jim wrote a letter of support. The reason I pull this, and I would have liked to also have seen this in the discussion agenda, because as most of you know, Surfers Beach sand replenishment is a big deal in our community on the coast side, and it's been going on for a long time. The public's very interested in this. And one aspect of this particular project of ours is that part of the work that the permitting process is for us to do a long-term monitoring what happens once we throw the sand over the jetty. So I think this is great news that Gulf of the Farallones is asking to do and I think Jim, is it only the ecological studies, or are they going to do some of the geological work too? It wasn't clear to me because I don't have the permit.
I believe it's a mixture of both, but I can definitely get you the detailed information.
It'd be great if you could post, if it's possible, I don't know if there are any rules against it, but it'd be great to put that application on the district website relating to this, because I know people will be interested in it. Another reason that I think it's important is because with Gulf of the Farallones National Marine Sanctuary scientists involved in doing the biological and also the geological studies, that will help us. And I think you noted that in your letter. It'll help us inside the harbor with our planning. And for this year, one of my desires is to work with staff and others to develop a long-term sediment management plan for our harbor. And so this will go a long way. I'm hopeful, and I can ask you this, do you have a sense of how well this application is being received? I expect it would be very good.
Everything I'm hearing right now, it's positive.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. And we'll see how it goes. Let me know if I can help. So I moved to approve this. It's a good letter.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I think this is informational only, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, great. So next thing on the agenda, we're going to move to discussion items, and it's the board reorganization. I will entertain nominations for president, and actually I'm going to step right in and nominate my vice president, our vice president, Commissioner Virginia Chang Crawley, for president. Do I have a second?
Second.
Great. If there are no other nominations, Melanie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Crawley,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz.
I'll abstain.
The nominations are now open for the position of vice president.
Like to nominate Nancy Ryring for vice president.
I'll second that.
Any other nominations? If not, Melanie, roll call, please.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Oh, Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
No.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
Nominations are now open. Is that how it works, or does secretary get appointed, Commissioner Chang Corrali? I can't recall.
No, we have to vote for the secretary.
Okay.
So, so if you're going to open up nominations for secretary, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Bill Zemke.
I'll second that. Roll call, Melanie.
Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring.
Aye. And is treasurer appointed or elected?
Elected.
Elected, all right. Open up nominations for treasurer.
Well, I'd like to nominate Commissioner Tom Mathush, who's done a great job already and continues to do that. So
I'll second
I
that.
nominate Tom.
I'll second that. Melanie, roll call.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
No.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali.
Aye.
All right, I think at this point, Commissioner Chang Corrali, you take over the meeting, yeah?
I think so. Thank you. Thanks for putting the confidence in me to help lead this board. And I want to thank President Ryring for all the work that she has done in probably one of the most difficult years. I know I've thanked her before, but you can't thank someone enough who's gone through trial and error and trying out new things, especially in a COVID and a virtual world. So Nancy, thank you for your leadership, your grace, and just being you and trying to get the public heard and kind of guiding us, the Harbor District and the Harbor Board, through a very tumultuous time. I think the San Mateo County, residents of San Mateo County should be very grateful for your leadership and all the hard work that you've put in this year. So thank you for all that you've done.
Very much, Virginia. It's really kind of you. Thank you so much for serving in your roles this year and the year going forward, everybody. Here's to a great 21.
Thank you. Any other comments from some of the other commissioners who want to recognize Nancy for her leadership?
Thank you, Nancy, for your leadership. I very much appreciate it. But I just wanted to point one thing out, that there needs to be a board alternate for LAFCO.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Julie, who has that been this last year? Is that me?
I think it was
The president is the primary, but then there's an alternate that's nominated by the board.
Oh,
do we
okay.
have to do that
President's
today,
not available.
Julie? Do we have to do that today, or can we do that?
I would imagine you can do it a different day. It was just part of the staff report, so I just wanted to point that out.
part of the staff report. Let's just make the vice president the alternate.
Yeah, I think so. If that works for you, Nance.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay.
Is that, do we have to have roll call for that, or is that just an appointment?
It looks like it's a motion.
Okay, so Tom, are you making that motion?
I'm moving the vice president Ryring be the alternate to LAFCO.
And I'll second that.
Great. Roll call, Melanie.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali.
Aye. So that motion carries. Thanks for that reminder, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go on to item number 12, which is the master plan development consultant selection process. Jim?
get unmuted and find the right page. Uh, Afternoon, President Corrali and commissioners. Earlier or late last year, we sent out at the direction of the board solicitation or our request for proposal for consultants interested in developing the master plan for the San Mateo County Harbor District. In response to that proposal, we got 5 responses. And now a determination needs to be made on which responses or which, how the recommendation to the full board on which consultant will be selected. There's a few, this is different from the RFP direction the board gave us last February, in that this is a RFP for services as opposed to professional services versus like a contractor for design of a pier or something. So we can approach it in a different way. So I laid out the recommendation was to assign an ad hoc committee to review the responses and of the master plan request and proposal, and if necessary, conduct interviews in order to form a recommendation to the Board of Harbor Commissioners. As an alternative, call a special meeting to review responses to the Harbor Board master plan request, and if necessary, conduct interviews to select a qualified firm. And that would be the whole council, our whole commission. And then the second alternative, direct the general manager with staff to review responses to the San Mateo County Harbor District master plan request for proposal 2019 TAC 05, and if necessary, conduct interviews to form a recommendation to the Board of Harbor Commissioners. Alternate 2 is our normal practice in responding to a services RFP, as opposed to the other different ones. But if you do choose alternate 2, it's just our normal practice.
So thanks for that, Jim. So I'd like to open it up for discussion. Anyone have a feeling on any of the options?
I move to proceed with alternative 2.
Is there a second to that?
I will second that.
Okay, so Commissioner Matoush made the motion and Commissioner Zemke seconded it. I'll open it up for discussion. I was looking at Ed. Ed, did you have did you wanted to say anything? I thought I saw you coming to the microphone.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think it's important for the entire board to weigh in on this. I think a special meeting makes a lot more sense. Rather than have one person make a decision, it's the general manager. No offense to you, I think you would do a great job, but I think you'd do a better job if you had input from the rest of the board. And also, a special meeting would allow the public to weigh in also, if members of the public were interested.
We had quite a bit of discussion about these kinds of things last year, and seems like there was always board consensus to let staff do its job, and they've done a really good job for us in the past with these kinds of tasks. And yeah, I fully support number 2.
Well, your characterization of board consensus is not exactly accurate, because at all of those meetings, I said that we would be better off setting it up either as a special meeting and also set it up as a ad hoc committee meeting, so that if only 2 members of the board were interested in this whatever particular topic, then you could have the meeting, and all members of the board were given at least the opportunity to weigh in if they wanted. So it looks to me like we're heading back down that road where the public is not going to be allowed to provide input and commissioners are going to be left out. So I'm not happy with that. I'd like to put that on the record.
Jim,
Consensus just means general agreement, and a decision by the board is a decision by the whole board, even if there are 1 or 2 members who disagree with any certain vote. That's just how democracy works.
so Jim, quick question for you. This alternative 2 basically says that you would do the interviewing, but you don't get to make the final decision. That comes before the board. Is that correct?
That's correct. If we would follow our normal process and
Correct.
evaluate each one of these responses, make a recommendation to the board, and then in this situation, I would have the recommended firm make a presentation to the board that when making my recommendation.
That's right. And that would, using that process does two things. One, it doesn't give the board any view of what other alternatives with respect to organizations and what exactly they would bring to the table. And also, as I've said before, during these kinds of processes, when you interview the organizations that are interested in doing this work, you actually learn something. So every interview you do allows you to have a better idea of how this process works, and you make a much better informed decision. So as a board, it seems to me that that's an important process that we are going to miss by doing it, by using alternative 2. There are lessons to be learned when you talk to these organizations. And Nancy, just to be clear, I don't need a lesson in how democracy works or on the English language.
So Jim, so Ed, I understand, but I also think that there is a time when the public can weigh in. And I think that, Jim and his staff, can help move the process along so we can get this thing done. Jim, you're not doing anything unless unless the board directs you anyway. So in the staff report, I know you're going to make a recommendation as you've done, as previous GMs have done. Could you just include the names of the other applicants for the RFP, the bidders for the RFP in the staff report as well, so that the public at least knows who's applied or who's put out for the RFP? Because I don't want to micromanage the staff either. But again, the board has the final say and the public can weigh in at that time too. I think that I have full faith and confidence that the general manager is going to put in the information and we can have a discussion on that, which we always do in a public forum.
I have a question. I do know in reading through the material, the board recently did a strategic plan.
You mean
And,
last year?
Last year did a strategic plan. And I think may still be on the website, the commissioner manual that I received had the strategic plan in there, but it was still as a draft strategic plan. Has that plan been finalized?
Jim,
The board, I think it was late I think it was the December board meeting in 2019, the board approved the master plan. So
you mean the
major
strategic plan?
strategic plan. So the major bullets in that strategic plan is what we've been operating off
Right.
for the last 12 months.
Okay. It may make sense to at least accept that as final. I don't know what the position of the board was to keep it draft or to go to final, but it seems to make sense that if we're going to go on the next stage of the process, which is developing a master plan, we should probably finalize the strategic plan first. This is maybe off the subject there, but just, I guess, for my information too, does anybody recall when we went through the process of finding a contractor for the strategic plan, what process we used for that? I know this is probably before you were here, Jim, but I wonder if any of the other commissioners remember what process we went through then.
RFP was issued and a number of groups responded. Of all the groups that were responded, we narrowed it down to one, and Roush and Consultants got the nod to go ahead and guide us through that process.
So I assume is basically what we're proposing here in option 2 is the process we followed for the strategic plan.
Correct.
Okay. Which seems to make sense to me. I mean, the public will have input to the master plan process as that proceeds. So I think I'm not sure if there's any added or much added value to the whole board weighing in on the particular credentials of each of the alternatives. And I would rely on Jim's or the committee's expertise in determining which of the several competitors would be the best to proceed with the master plan.
Well, I would like to point out one more thing, and that is that when you do work on a master plan, it's an intensive bit of work. You sit down together with your staff and with the board, and in some cases with the public, and you work out the details of a master plan. And that means that you have a person who's guiding the district and the public and staff in this work. And so the interaction of that individual with the board, it seems to me, it would be important for the board to be able to have an idea of whether they feel that that individual will be someone they can work with. And the way we're setting it up is we're going to have the general manager make a recommendation. As he said, he'll bring that person to the I guess the firm to a meeting, and then we'll have a chance to discuss with them, and no opportunity to look at the possible alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think it's important to have at least allow the board to have a discussion with all the members of the organizations that apply, because there may be someone there that is a better fit for this entire board. And that's a decision that the board should make, not the general manager, in my opinion.
Well, maybe just kind of thinking off the top of my head, maybe another way to approach it is have the general manager go through and kind of do a first cut. He may find that there's two that he really likes and he can't decide between the two, and then kind of narrow it down to a group that the board could then look at. Does that make sense?
Yes, so Bill, that was, I mean, that, that could be another alternative. And, if the general manager does that, we could appoint an ad hoc committee to help with that, narrow it down, or we can take it to the full board if there is if he can't make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think that's unreasonable at all. Jim, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I don't think that we have to do an ad hoc specifically for, narrowing down the decision. If you want to narrow down the decision, just say it comes down to two. I mean, we could bring those two before the board.
Yes, that's definitely a possibility.
Okay, so we have this motion of option 2 on the table. I don't think it's in conflict with the ideas that Bill put out and that Ed, I think we might support if, the general manager narrows it down to the choices that he thinks makes the most sense. I mean, we can add, do you want an amended motion to the original motion that Tom made, which is option 2? Jim, to say that, that should the general manager need to present, some of the finalists to the board, that would happen, or, I mean, would you just do that? I mean, because at the end of the day, we're going to give you, I think, based on option 2, you would have the leeway to move forward with the process.
If the board, I just need board direction and from which method you prefer as a board, either the recommendation or alternative 1 or 2. I just wanted to put them all out there so we can have the board can have a full discussion on it, and then direct me on how to proceed. If the board makes a motion to approve alternative 2 as written, and after reviewing all the replies, and 2 are very close, that alternative 2 could incorporate that without any changing in words.
Okay, does that satisfy you, Bill?
Yes, it does.
Ed, does that?
Call for the question.
Okay. So let's do a roll call for calling for the question. Melanie?
Mr. Lorenz?
What are we
Call for
voting
the
for?
question?
Right, are we voting to call the question for?
Yes, alternative 2, which is the original motion.
I'll say no.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Mathush.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion passes to call for the question. So we'll call for the question on the original motion. Melanie, would you mind reading the original motion, please?
Before we move on, President Corrali, can we just check with Lizzie to see if there's any hands raised from the public?
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
I don't
I don't
currently
s-
see any hands raised.
Yeah, I don't either. I've got it on the attendees list. I don't see anything, but thank you for
Okay.
the reminder, Jim.
Thank you.
Melanie, would you please restate the motion that Commissioner Mathush made, the original motion?
I think it was alternative 2, direct the general manager with staff to review responses to the San Mateo County Harbor District Master Plan request for proposal number 2019-05, and if necessary, conduct interviews to form a recommendation to the Board of Harbor Commissioners.
Great, and that was seconded by Commissioner Zemke, and we'll go for the roll call now since there was a call for the question.
Commissioner Zemke,
Aye.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Corrali,
Aye.
Commissioner Mathush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz.
No.
Okay, that motion carries. And now we are on to, hold on. Item or Commissioner comments, section E. And are there any commissioner comments?
I'd just like to thank former or outgoing President Ryring for spectacular leadership through the year and look forward to working with the current board. I want to formally, at our first entire meeting here, welcome Commissioner Zemke into the fold, and I look forward to getting more contact information from him.
Ed?
Yes, I'd like to once again thank our new commissioner for being willing to serve on the board. I look forward to working with you, and maybe we can spend some time talking once we have your contact information. I'd like to hear more about who you are and what you're looking for in working with this district.
Nancy?
No comment today. Thanks.
Bill?
Yeah, I just make a few comments. Thanks for the words of encouragement and the invitation to the commission here. And I do look forward to the position here. I must admit, I'm on the steep part of the learning curve, going through the commissioner manual. And I do enjoy I'm really looking forward to the time when we can get together and meet each other face to face. I think that really helps. But until then, we'll see.
Okay, I just have a couple of commissioner comments. Bill, welcome. We're very
you.
excited that you're representing a new district. So we're looking forward to hearing from you and hearing from people in that northern part of the district. Thank you for serving. And you know that my door's open anytime if you have questions or comments or whatever. So please feel free to contact me. Also, Jim, thank you for a really great year during a very tough time. I think your leadership was a standout, and I think that the staff has done a great job. So Julie, thank you for the work that you've done, especially during COVID when we've had to deal with budget uncertainties or just readjustments. So thank you. And the same with you, Melanie. You've had to really kind of keep up with a lot of things during a fast moving environment. So thank you. And, kind of getting your feet wet, so to speak. I mean, it's trial by fire. So thank you very much for your hard work. Jim, I just had a quick question. I know that we've had some of these incidents on the coast I think we had there's still a search possibly for the Cowell State Beach. Is it Cowell State Beach and even the Pescadero Beach? I mean, I don't know what involvement we've had except for possibly water rescue. I mean, can you just give us, at least tell us a little bit about what our Harbor Patrol staff has been doing in that area?
I can give an overview, and then if John wants to jump in with anything that I missed. But I think everybody's aware, we had a very tragic situation that occurred, and a family was caught in a rip current, and a 12-year-old boy, the son and brother of the two individuals who got caught in that current, rushed to the water to try to help them. And then the 12-year-old was caught by an undertow and taking out over 100 yards, they're saying. The father and the younger son were rescued, but the 12-year-old remains missing. The Harbor Patrol was on scene with CAL FIRE on board our boat, searching waterside until after sunset on Monday night. Went out, the Coast Guard was out with the Highway Patrol helicopter also. Everybody searching. The second day, Coast Guard and the CAL FIRE continued to search, and CAL FIRE continued to search until sunset last night. I believe there's some volunteer groups still out looking, and that's where that case currently stands. There was another family that was caught in a rip current in Ross Cove on Monday, and it was an adult with 2 children, but they were able to be pulled back out and are safe. And then a couple weeks ago, we did lose somebody in Pescadero who got caught by I don't know if it was a sneaker wave, but a large wave, and washed them into the water. So the ocean is dangerous right now with the heavy winds. You never know when that large wave is going to hit, especially during this winter season with the heavy winds. And we really need to continue to push the safety message to never turn your back on the ocean.
Can you please thank the Harbor Patrol crew for the work that they're doing? I know it has not been easy for them and for any of our emergency responders, but I do think that people appreciate the work that everyone's doing. So thank you for that.
We'll pass that on. We'll pass that on, President Crowley. I would just add that we have added additional warning signage, to help people be aware of the dangers, at least within district property, of the rogue waves, because we do regretfully still have people that insist on going out on the breakwaters. Our staff, as our general manager described, I think very well, have been involved, with these tragic incidents, trying to assist when they're close enough for us to be effective, to Pillar Point Harbor. And we are still incorporating some of our, at the general manager's direction, incorporating some of our staff training into continuing to search for the tragic lost young man when it's safe to do so. The weather conditions have laid down a little bit. So in my discussion with the harbor master wants, Chris Tibby wants to help, if possible, bring closure to the family. And again, we often do training that incorporates grid pattern searches, expanding circle searches, etc., and to do some additional training and potentially bring some closure to the family would just be great. And so we're doing our best.
Well, John, I just want to commend you too for the work that you're doing. I didn't leave you out because I know that you do a lot of work, and I know that the public, I think, sees the results. I think a lot of people that I've talked to, I mean, not a lot, but from I'm hearing from, they really like Chris Tibby too. So if you can pass along our appreciation for the work that he's doing during a very hard time, along with all of the other harbor staff here and at Oyster Point. It's very frustrating. I hear that it's been very crowded at Johnson Pier. So thank you for monitoring and just making sure that everyone's safe. And Lizzie, thank you as well for being such a sport for just making sure that we're in compliance and also that we're technically savvy when we're doing a virtual meeting. So thank you, thank you.
Of course.
So any other commissioner comments? Okay, so then we're going to go to item F, which is future agenda items, which I don't see any, but I wanted to ask really quickly, Jim or Melanie, or even Trisha, we have committee assignments that are coming up. And so that I think has to be approved by the board as well, right?
We'll have to look at the policy. Jim might know it off the top of his head. I think the president appoints. I'm not sure if the board confirms.
That'll be
President
on,
just appoints.
currently that's
Okay.
scheduled to be on the February agenda, and the
Okay,
you as president appoint members of the commissions.
okay. So I'm gonna
Or
get in
committees.
yes, I'll get in contact with everyone, or if you want to get in contact with me and let me know what your preferences are, that would be great. I think that we have an opportunity to work very seamlessly here and make things, just keep on doing the work so that people see that we're past uncertain times. And so we have, I think, a responsibility to continue doing the people's work. And I think we're doing a great job. So I'll reach out to y'all, but if you have any preferences, feel free to reach out to me as well.
Virginia? Can I ask
Yes,
a question?
yes,
Do
Bill.
do you have a list of the current committees that are set up?
Yeah, I'll get that from Jim because I know that we had a few ad hoc committees that may need to be dissolved, like the general managers committee, right? The ad hoc. So why don't I do this?
Okay.
I will get that and I'll send it to all of the commissioners.
Okay,
And then
great, thanks.
you can decide, what you would like. And I would ask that you give, your preferences in priority order.
Mhm.
Ed, did you have anything? I'm looking at you. I think you want to say something.
Oh, Thank
Okay,
you.
Tom?
fine.
Okay, Nance?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. So the December activity reports, Jim and John, I mean, I know you just went over some of the tragic situations that we've faced, but is there anything else that you would like to add?
I would just real quick to add that, we've all seen the strong winds of late. Next week, regretfully, they're forecasting extremely strong winds, tropical storm type winds, up to 63 mile an hour gusts. So we've also, under the general manager's direction, sent out notices to all of our tenants and social media, warning people to prepare their vessels. So we'll take this opportunity to reiterate that as well. Tie up roller furlings and extra lines on the boats.
So is the harbor personnel or the harbor staff out there on the pier, are they going to be more proactive to help give notice to the tenants too?
Yeah, that's what we do all the time, and also walking the docks almost constantly.
Yeah.
Checking lines on boats, adding our own lines. We've got extra line ourselves. So when we see vessels that are not are regretfully not cared for well, and just have poly line holding them to the docks, both at Pillar Point and Oyster Point, we reinforce those lines and take down isinglass, any tarps and garbage that might be on boats. Our staff are always protecting the environment as well.
Okay.
Yeah, just with this last windstorm, we did have one sailing vessel break free of its mooring, and it lodged itself up on the beach over by Mavericks. So we were working today to get that off. And then a couple weeks ago, working through the process, we had a vessel that was a 60-foot fishing vessel that was actively sinking at the dock. could not be repaired. We've had our bilge pumps running on it to keep it afloat, but those were failing too, to keep up with the ingress of water. So we had to take it over to the boat ramp and environmentally dispose of that fishing vessel. And I'll be sending out more detailed information to the entire board, and bring it back to the board for the cost associated at our next board meeting.
Okay, and Julie, I know that there's something in administration too, if you want to add anything. Your report is actually pretty thorough, but I didn't know if you wanted to add anything.
Yes, the only thing I would add is a big thank you to everyone on the administrative staff and Jim and John for helping us get our first ever DFOA budget award for our budget document.
Yes, congratulations to Julie and your staff. Thank you. That was big. So I know that, Jim, I just have one quick question. I don't want to monopolize, but crab season, commercial crabbing, I know that you've mentioned it, but how have the crowds been? It sounds like it's been busy, but also I'm just worried about COVID and all of that. I mean, what precautions are we taking, and are we enforcing anything?
It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The harbor was completely packed. Parking was almost unavailable for most of the weekends. Johnson Pier was packed with people. There was concern on Friday at the beginning that a lot of people weren't wearing masks, or there were people who were not wearing masks, and we were getting ignored. But we did a proactive reach out to the tenants of Pillow Point Harbor and reminded them to assist us in reminding their customers to wear their masks, including off-boat fish sales, and that seemed to work. While we still have the large crowd, most people, I'd say 99% of the people I saw on Sunday walking around the harbor were wearing masks. So the mask mandate's doing pretty good. Cramped spaces, doing the 6-foot separation's been difficult, but we've been trying to do our best to remind people.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from, or comments or questions from the commissioners regarding the activity reports? No? Okay. So we're finally on H. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry, that looks like a couple people have raised their hands.
Oh, okay. Yes, Bob and Sherry Ingalls. Thank you, Julie. I didn't see it until you just mentioned it. So public comment from Bob and Sherry Ingalls.
Yeah, thank you very much for recognizing us. It has always been our concern about the number of individuals that appear at the harbor. And I don't know if it's possible to possibly involve, and I hate to say it, but the local authorities to at least make a few unannounced inspections of the area during the peak times, just to help the personnel and our businesses to ensure that we're doing everything we can to prevent the transmission of this disease. The harbor does get absolutely overrun on the weekends, which is a wonderful thing. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, and I'm extremely concerned about it. And until this stuff gets a little more under control, if there's any chance that possibly the harbor could reach out to the local authorities to see if at least they can make a few inspections of the area to accompany what our harbor officials are doing, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm extremely concerned about the number of folks that actually inhibit our harbor on the weekends, and especially on any nice day. So if there's anything that can be done to make sure that we are as safe as possible, even though our harbor staff is doing what they can, maybe we can get some additional support from our local authorities. It would be greatly appreciated, and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands raised. Julie, or Lizzie, do you see anyone else?
Not at this time, President Chankrali.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 1:55.
So
So
moved.
moved. Jinxed. I'll second.
Okay, a motion made by Commissioner Matoush and seconded by Commissioner Ryring. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Ryring,
Aye.
Commissioner Chang Carley,
Aye.
Commissioner Matoush,
Aye.
Commissioner Lorenz,
Aye.
Commissioner Zemke.
Aye.
Great. The meeting's adjourned at 1:56. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Here. Aye.
Bye.